Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I have a very exciting show for you today. I have an investor out there who is just crushing it. Let's welcome Jackie Swagerty to the show. How are you doing this morning, Jackie?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Why don't we first just introduce the world to who you are, what you do, what part of this real estate empire what part of it you do, and all of that.
Sure. I'm Jackie Swagerty, and my husband and I own Better Options House Buyers in Houston, Texas. We've been at it about 3 years now, in business for 3 years, and really full-time flipping houses just this year. The first 2 years was just buying rentals, one rental at a time. And actually it was a 5-year plan, but everything started happening a little bit faster than expected. So it kind of sped up and ended up being a 2.5-year plan. And now here we are, full-time investing and flipping and loving it.
Very, very cool. So let's break that down a little bit. When you said a 5-year plan broke down to a 2.5-year plan, was that like exiting the rat race or quitting your day jobs, or what was the plan?
Yeah, I think our plan was very common. I think I hear a lot of people have the same one. Our original plan was 10 rentals,
Okay.
500 a month cash flow, 5,000 a month passive. And we thought we were going to have to buy them by putting 15 or 20% down. So we'd originally planned, to do about 2 a year. And then with each one, we learned a new trick. And as soon as we figured out private money and how to buy rentals with no money out of pocket, in some cases, even getting money back, that changed everything.
Yeah, that private money thing. Once you kind of unlock that, it's like, oh my gosh, the world is very different.
I'm going to buy too many rentals.
Yeah,
How do I
exactly.
go down?
Exactly. So you got your first rental time-wise like 2015-ish?
Yeah, 2015. My
Okay.
husband and I, we were high school sweethearts, and we had just reunited after 12 years apart.
Wow.
Yeah, he had moved me up to Wisconsin. We got married in Vegas. We got pregnant, and we set out to raise a family here in Houston, where his company was headquartered. He was working for Kiewit Energy at the time. And so we had his company transfer us here. And at the time, I was 9 months pregnant. I was too pregnant to fly, but we knew we wanted to buy rentals. So the first house I bought was actually on the same street as I live on now, a few doors down, was bought sight unseen. I was shopping on Zillow. Even as a longtime realtor, I still liked Zillow because it was so easy to use. And that was the first one, and we bought it with the intention of eventually turning it into a rental, which is why we bought, kind of a $160,000 middle income house here up in Northwest Houston, and then moved us down here, and that's when the fun really started.
Very cool. So I am curious about the sight unseen. I'm guessing your husband knew the area, or did you just sight unseen is just a phrase I don't hear a lot on this channel. So tell what was that like?
Well, my husband was able to fly down here and
Oh,
make a
okay.
trip and look at a few houses. I don't remember if he saw this one or not. He
Okay.
might not have. It was I was due in June, and I was 9 months pregnant. It was peak summer,
Yeah.
and in the 120 to $180,000 market in Houston is always multiple offer
Right.
situations in the summer. So we had already been beaten out on lots of houses,
Got it.
and even though we could have gone higher, I was adamant that I wanted to leave every house behind us. I just wanted to leave a wake of rentals with that owner occupant financing. You know what I mean? Of
Oh, I
course, there was
do. Yeah.
nothing wrong. We were moving into every single house, but the exit strategy was to keep them as a
Yep.
rental. So this particular one, there were 5 other offers. They were
Mm.
all full price. As an investor now, it just pains me to even say I paid full price. Course, live and learn. But I wrote a really nice cover letter. I'm pregnant. We need a house. Please let us buy the house. I think it was the cover letter that got it. And
Sure.
that just shows that sometimes it's the little personal touch above and beyond that'll get you the deal.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah, for me, it was sight unseen. I saw a few pictures, terrible photos, not even professional real estate photography,
take it
but
from phone. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, in the evening.
Well, it's funny you bring up that cover letter. So first off, cover letters are pretty common for owner occupants in hot markets like you described. But
Hmm.
I actually have all of my agents when I'm using a realtor to submit offers on properties today, they all send a cover letter, right? This is who I am. This is my company. You know, I have rental properties. I'm going to hold it for a long time. So I've used that to this day, and sometimes it helps. So I think that's a great tip for folks. So you come down, your birth of your first child, I'm guessing, the way you're telling the story. Okay. And so how long from the birth of your first child till you go, I'm getting a second rental? Do you remember that
Yeah.
timeline?
So when we moved in, she was about 3 months old.
Okay.
And right away I hit the ground running. I'd planned on getting my real estate license, and I have a tiny estate sale company. I do a few estate sales on the side just because it's no overhead and ties in so well.
Yep.
And so the next one, I started door knocking.
Mm.
I got some business cards and I door knocked this street. I door knocked my own neighborhood and just asked if anybody knew anyone looking to sell. And, you know, it's scary because we didn't know how we were going to buy the next one. You know, we've just figured it was going to be 15-20% down, and you know, we're a young family. Yeah, I didn't want him liquidating any of his retirement or anything like that, so just boots to the ground. And 3 doors down from me, there was an older gentleman named Will. Looking back now, the house had all the signs of it. The front was overgrown, the garage doors were 30 years old. It was just a ripe for the picking investment property, but until you get into it a little more, it's hard to really see them. And he approached me about a month later and was like, hey, you had come door knocking and we were thinking about it, and our house needs some work and we'd like to sell it to you guys. And that's the house that I'm sitting in right now. We bought it with another owner-occupant 5% down loan because it was only 3 doors down and it was a little bit bigger. We decided to go ahead and just move right into it and fix it up while we lived in it. So with every one came a lot of important lessons. I don't know if I'll ever live in a house and fix it up again. You know, just the invasion of privacy with the contractors, and I had this little baby, and so yeah, live and learn. And this one was a great little deal. We bought it, it was worth like $185. We bought it for like $40. So the first house we paid like full market value for. This one we were probably all in at about 80%, which at the time was a home run for us.
Yeah.
And we learned just a little more with each one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's key. Again, there's so many things you're just dropping that I want to make sure people pick up. First, you come down, right? Sight unseen, buy one, get in the game, right? You're committed. You write a cover letter to jump to the front of the line because there's only one house available. Then within 3 months of having the birth of your child, you're already out of what most people would call out of your comfort zone, and you're door knocking your own neighborhood. And that's amazing. I don't know many people that do that. So congratulations. That's awesome. Yeah. So you go from being a professional door knocker and driving for dollars, things like that. Did you ever start doing mailings, or where does your business go from there?
So after we bought this one, moved into it, and we turned our old house into our first rental, which we were super proud of. It's a great rental right now, just raised the rent. The third one came from a mail out. We started trying to expand on our marketing a little bit, and we found some financing that was 15% down with 100% rehab money. And again, this is still before we learned about private money, but this is where it really good. So this next one, I did a little mail out. I bought a list. I think we used Todd Swagerty and Yellow Letter HQ, and we sent a mail out with the Yellow Letter mail out. And then I bought another list on ListSource, and I used Click to Mail and sent just some little black and white postcards. You know, those 37 cents, same as the stamp ones.
Yeah.
You notice them because they're not very shiny. They look like somebody didn't have a lot of money to spend on a mail out, and that was us. So a really nice family. About a half a mile away from us, kind of the same neighborhood, reached out to us, and they were living in a 4-bedroom house. It was just an older couple. They wanted to downsize to be closer to their church. They go to Lakewood with Joel Osteen, and they didn't have the money to make the repairs on their property, and it hadn't been updated in 30 years. But the big kicker was this poor gentleman had lost a $600,000 retirement in the Enron scandal. So they didn't really want their neighbors to know the pickle they were in and stuff. And we were able to give them a cash offer. We were all in at about 75% on this one. But what happened was they they needed a lot of time to move. And so we were okay with working with them. And we gave them like 2 or 3 months, which was perfect for both sides because we had plenty of time to get financing on it.
Yeah.
My husband was working his great engineer job, everything was going great. And then Hurricane Harvey hit.
Oh.
And the appraisal had already been ordered for several weeks, but the appraiser, I don't know if they were just booked out or super busy, but the appraiser just wasn't coming. And they said, I went to go get an extension signed because all we needed to close was the appraisal. And they said that they weren't going to sign the extension. that we had until the end of the week to close. And so I remember I went to go get the extension signed on Monday night. At this point, I was in the first trimester with JJ, our son. So we were pregnant with number 2 by this point. Juliet was about a year old. And, we'd become good friends with the family. We'd talk to them a lot. I remember my baby Juliet crawling on the dining room table while we were signing contracts and me just being mortified that I couldn't contain her. So I was shocked to sign the extension. So I had 5 days to close on this property. And that's when I figured out private money.
Nice. All right. So how does, so you probably leave that first meeting, right? Going there, your friends, you think it's an easy sign for whatever reason. They have a bad day. They have a life event, whatever. They say, nope. End of the week, Friday. You're going back to the car. You're probably, at least if it was me, I'd be nervous or scared. How do you flip from that to private money? I'm missing the light bulb.
Well, we were so close to getting the financing. All we needed to do was cash out the seller. Yep. It was a $200,000 house. We were buying it for $126,000, and it was too good of a deal to walk away from. I had to figure it out, and so I knew if I could just get somebody with $126,000 to close on it, then we could get the financing and be done in a few weeks, and they would get bought back out. Yep. At this point, I'd had a 2-year-old Honda Accord that I'd paid cash for a couple years prior that I had just sold for the 15% down payment money on this house. I'm doing this by the book, same way everybody does it, and making all the same mistakes. Yeah. So we had one car, and we were doing good. We were happy to buy this second rental, and I left. It was 8:30 at night. It came out of the blue. I thought, of course, they were going to sign the extension, and so I had called my mom, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but one way or another, I'm going to make a list as soon as I get home of everybody that I know with money, and we're going to figure out how to buy this house. And at the time, I'd been in Houston for about a year, so I knew some investors, and I was confident I could figure it out. But my mom offered to lend. Her and my dad had just got divorced, and she had literally just enough to lend to let me close on this house and then get the loan and finance her back out. Yeah. So that's what we did. That was the first little private money loan was emergency situation and family. And we closed on it, and it's a great rental right now. It's our highest cash flowing one. It cash flows about $600 a month. Wow. And it also, I had estimated the value at just under 200, but it's actually worth closer to 215, and the market appreciates really nice. So that was number 3, and that's how we figured out private money, and then it just got better from there. Yeah.
Once you realize, private money, no points. I mean, you get to organize and create the own structure. It is absolutely amazing. So you get past that third one, you get this great cash flowing property. I'm guessing, where do you sit now as far as rentals? You have the 10, you have the 15. What do you have now?
We've got 6 right now. Okay. We've been doing this for 3 years. Our plan was 2 a year. Yep. And we got to 6 before my husband quit his job. So now having to figure out the long-term financing all over again.
Yes.
And I'm looking at a board right now with 4, private long-term lenders because there's a way. At first I thought you couldn't buy rentals without 20% down and, without solid everything, like a perfect finances. And then I figured out not only can you buy houses with no money out of pocket if you want to, you can finance them long-term. Where there's a will, there's a way. You just don't know until you try and start doing it.
That's awesome. All right. So now, the rental story is awesome. You've got to 6, husband quits. Then you morph into a second kind of line of business and start doing flips kind of right at that. He quits and you start flipping, or had you done a flip before he left his full-time job?
Well, we contracted a flip May of last year, and it
Okay.
was a probate deal. It was a lady that I'd actually bought a condo from her that turned into one of our rentals, and
Ah,
she referred one of her friends had passed away. So there was a lot of other investors. There was a lot of competition, but I had a little bit of an in, and so we got this deal for $100,000. And Jesse started working on it all by himself in the fall of last year. And so we had Thanksgiving come up and Christmas, and he had about 6 weeks of paid vacation saved up. So he decided to he was sort of in between projects. So he decided it was a good time to take it all at once.
wow.
And he was like, I don't even know how to explain, like a kid going to Disneyland. Like he was like out the door at dark with his lunch pail, like put him. And I used to have to like kick him out of bed to go to his corporate job, you know. And so we were driving home from Christmas, and he was like, "Honey, I just don't think I can go back to working in a cubicle all day, every day. I love it too much." And I was like, "You know what? We can make it 6 months, you know, and if we can't make it, the worst case scenario is one of us has to go back and get a job. So we're already living the worst case scenario, now or never, you know, we might as well try it." So he ended up actually quitting his job in January. You know, he graduated from A&M, and he worked in the same job 12 years. Like,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, he moved him all over the country. But for somebody to work in one job for 12 years and then quit on a wing and a prayer, like he must. But we finished that house. We sold it for just under $300,000. We made close to 6 figures, and that's what we used to launch our company in the beginning of this year. Now I've bought and sold 3 or 4 at least, kind of quick wholesales. We've got a few flips going for him, and so far so good.
That is awesome. And to see two people so committed and working together on the joint goals and willing to roll the dice and go, you know what, let's give it 6 months. I mean, that's awesome. And it also seems, again, just speaking with you, but the way you tell the story, you guys complement each other really well, right? It seems like you're the face, you're looking at the sellers, the numbers, all of that. And he's out with the lunch pail working away.
Exactly. All I want to do is acquisitions, and all I've ever wanted to do is acquisitions. I love getting the deals. I love marketing for them. I love contracting them. But then I just want to leave that executed contract on my desk and go get the next one. So I need somebody to help me with the back end stuff. And, you know, and I was okay doing all of it before because it was just one at a time, you know, and it wasn't that big of a deal. But now we're trying to ramp it up a little bit, you know, and make our business profitable so we can buy more rentals. And
that is so awesome. So as we sit here today, you know, it's middle of July, so call it 7 months. You have six rentals. You've completed 4 transactions as a couple in your business. And forgive me, what's the name of your business again?
Better Options House Buyers.
You said that. I forgot. I didn't write that down. There you go. So is that kind of what the business is today? Just the two of you going after it?
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
And we call ourselves Better Options House Buyers. I do have my real estate license, and, you know, 9 out of 10 of the offers that I make don't work out as investment leads. And I turn them over to the realtors that I work with. I've got a team that handles the retail side, because I can't do it all. And I know that now. I used to try to, but I've got kids that need me, and so in the evening I have to be there for them. And so I stay focused on the acquisitions and on getting the deals. But if it's any retail spinoff, I'm happy to take a referral fee. Yep. And we just work it that way. We give sellers options from cash to financing all the way through to retail.
I think that's a great piece of advice. We're going to hit that again because the real estate investing has so many options where you can go down. You literally can be pulled in thousands of different directions. And in your case, right, you have huge family commitments, 2 young children, a business that you're running. To be focused on your lane is awesome. But let's I want to remind people, because a lot of people that watch my channel have full-time jobs, and I want them to go to pick their lane and stay in their lane, right? Don't get distracted by wholesaling or flipping, right? Buy and hold rentals are okay as a side hustle, right? Focus is
Mhm.
good, would you say?
Absolutely. I mean, real estate is such a huge field. It's impossible to learn it all and know it all. And at first, it's really exciting because everything's new. You're like, oh, what's a lease option?
Yeah.
What's financing? But you soon learn that just knowing a few key things is all it needs. If the situation calls for it, you can figure it out. And you also learn in doing this that it's really just constant problem solving. So you have to be good at handling the problems as they come to you, because there's no way to foresee everything.
Yeah.
And just have trust and faith in yourself that whatever comes your way, you can overcome it, and you can help the seller and you can help yourself, and you can all work together to figure out whatever it is, title issues, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious, as you sit here in July, have you thought about what your end of year goal is, and maybe what your goal is 3 years out for your business?
Well, the biggest problem we have right now is I want to keep everything that I buy and just sell everything that I buy. So one property, actually, it was supposed to be a quick wholesale, and it was. We repaired it, we put it on the market, got it under contract, but it was contingent on the buyer selling their house. And woohoo, that contingency just expired yesterday. So now I get to keep it as a rental, which of course he's not as thrilled about, but it'll work out. Now I get to learn about how to figure out long-term private money lenders.
Yep.
And until you're presented with that challenge, you don't really have the motivation to figure it out. Well, now I have to figure it out, or put it back on the market and sell it, which I don't really want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And really what you're sharing with us here is wholesaling, or flipping is short-term active income money,
The
where
job.
it's a job. Perfect. And what you're doing is you're like, no, I'm creating wealth, honey, right? I'm putting away college money for our kids and all of that. That's really the balancing act, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, if you pay your dues now and you buy right and you hang on to it, that's where the real wealth comes. And I know it because I see it. I've
Oh yeah.
got some peers that are, 10, 20 years ahead of me, and they've got just hundreds, if not thousands of doors, many of them completely paid for. But I also have peers that have been full-time flipping or wholesaling, and they don't have that built up wealth like the people that have hung on to stuff.
Yeah, something, I talk to a bunch of wholesalers and whatnot that come across the channel, and I try to impart the advice of if you can keep 1 out of 4, right, you're going to
Mhm.
be in a much better position 5, 10, 20 years from now. Because again, it's a job, markets change, rules change. It's wealth is built slowly, one brick at a time or one rental at a time, in my
Mhm.
opinion. Yeah, that's awesome.
Exactly.
So when you look out at the business future, do you see yourself adding employees, going to other markets, or are you happy just driving to everything? Houston's yours, your market, and you're okay with that. Do you have any thoughts on other markets?
I hear a lot about other markets. I'll be honest, Houston is so big to me that Houston might as well be 20 markets. I
Yeah,
come from New Mexico, and the population of New Mexico is around 2 million, which is about the population of Houston.
there you go.
So for expanding, I've added in a VA, and we're definitely looking to hire full-time, an employed, specifically to help with the property management,
Ah, yeah.
because our rentals are furnished rentals for traveling nurses. And so I definitely need kind of somebody in-house to help me with that. I love the travel nurse niche. It's a really awesome niche. It's kind of in between long-term and Airbnb. But you have that Airbnb capability because it is fully furnished if you need to. So we're definitely planning on expanding and growing. We're going to keep on wholesaling, and flipping as like our job now.
Yeah.
But I'm always trying to keep almost everything we end up buying. And then long term, I'm hoping to expand into small multifamily. I know a lot of my friends are doing large distressed multifamily, but it's one thing to read about it and then try to leap in, but I really believe that a lot of this business is learning on the job.
Yeah.
And there's no way to do it than to just do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's just poke at that traveling nurse idea just a little bit more, because that's a new concept for this channel. When you say travel nurse, it's furnished, they're month contracts. Does one nurse take one house, or do you do it bedroom by bedroom, or how does that kind of work out?
So I've got 4 little 1-bedroom condos in the Heights, which is kind of a nice little area of town here, closer to downtown. So these are just private 1-bedrooms.
Yep.
I'm an animal lover, and so a lot of landlords will disagree with me, but 3 of the 4 are actually pet friendly.
Yes.
Other rentals, I'm totally okay with being pet friendly. I mean, I charge pet rent and a deposit thing. But that's my little way to give back to the community, have some more pet-friendly rentals out there. But this has come for 13 weeks at a time. And I'm able to charge, more than I would be able to get otherwise, of course, unfurnished. The big kicker was the condos I bought have a really high HOA fee that I have to pay regardless, but that HOA fee covers all the utilities. So I kind of figured if it's a little 1-bedroom place that covers all the utilities, I started with 1, and the demand was amazing. I immediately farmed that area, bought another. Anytime I have availability, I have a waiting list. But they come 13 weeks at a time, and the companies background check them and everything. So I know they're employed. I know they're background checked, and I don't screen them like I do my other tenants. And I've had 0 problems so far. They've been great.
That's awesome. I am curious how far, because do they come with their cars, or are you walking distance to the hospital? How does that all work?
So far, every one of them has had their own vehicle.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Very, very cool. Well, do me a favor. If somebody wants to follow you and see what you guys are doing at Better Options House Buyers, how can they follow you, get plugged in, and just see all the good things you're doing?
Yeah, sure. You can follow us on Facebook. It's facebook.com/betterop, BETTEROP. For the ladies, I have a woman real estate investor group. If you just go to facebook.com/group/women investors. And it's got about 1,300 members in it now. It's nationwide. And it's kind of a free-for-all. You can post deals. You can post your pages. You can brag. Not really many restrictions. I just tried to make a platform where people could ask questions and, brag about themselves.
That's awesome. I think I personally, again, I'm a guy, so again, this is probably my skewed view, but it does seem that the real estate investing game seems to be dominated by males, and there's no reason for it. It's not a strength-based thing, and there should be a lot more women getting into this because, generally speaking, easier to talk to, very creative, design aspects. I think real estate investing should be dominated by women, and I look forward to seeing more and more do what you've done. Just jump in, start door knocking, and just making it happen. You've done a great job, Jackie. It's been fun to listen to.
In my experience, I think it's more equal than you think. I think
good.
The big players, the women, I think they're much more quiet than the big players that are men, is what I've been seeing.
Well, I am very happy to hear that. I'm glad that's true. So thank you for that. And again, thank you for all that you were doing.
Thank you.
Sure.